there, that's the thing. Off! I'm done. I'm done. Off. Committed. You stupid bitch, you just got here. I work 65 hours a week, sometimes 70, and I have 2 kids. I'm a single mom.
It feels like I'm in a woman's prison.
Here's a look at some of the most crazy confrontations on Hotel Hell. And we're starting things off with this wild moment right here.
We're all equal shareholders in this business, but it was my plan to buy the hotel.
Hello.
Kevin.
Kevin, Gordon, good to see you, bud.
Pleasure to meet you.
And this is?
Hi, Gordon Joel.
Joel. So you're the lap dancer?
There might have been some lap dancing.
Okay, then right, okay. I'm dying to find out.
I'm not a professional. Maybe once in a while, but...
Okay, fine.
I'm a wild one when I start drinking. I get a little stripper action going on, or they get a little rowdy, and can be the most fun that any young adult could ever dream of.
So obviously the chef.
Yes.
Restaurant manager. And the lap dancer.
Bar manager.
Bar manager. So who's in charge?
All 3 of us.
No such thing. So who runs the hotel? Who's in charge of the hotel?
Hotel manager job doesn't really entail much.
With 3 owners, normally there's one that takes the reins and 2 others silent. None of you sound and look like an owner.
We bought the hotel 9 months ago.
Right, and you guys go back a long way.
Just kind of met each other 15 years ago. And
I'm confused whether it's the 3 Musketeers or the 3 Stooges. Anyway, I'm gonna have a quick bite to eat. It's been a long journey. I'm excited to taste the food. Thank you, nice to meet you.
Thank you, pleasure to meet you.
Thank you.
Gordon's gonna love our food. Joel works really hard at everything he puts out. Everything that comes out the window is a great product.
So Chef Ramsay made his way to Murphy's Hotel, nestled in Murphy's, California. This historic gem, standing tall for over 150 years, is not only the town's oldest building, but also surrounded by breathtaking vineyards. Back in its heyday, the hotel was quite the landmark, hosting VIPs, including former US presidents. A piece of local history, it's now owned by 3 friends: Brian Goss, Kevin Clerico, and Joel Lasitagnola. Each of them played a specific role. Goss looked after the dining room, Clerico managed the bar, and Lasitagnola took charge of the kitchen.
Surrounded by the stunning vineyards of the Sierra Nevada foothills is Murphy's, California, a picturesque destination for wine enthusiasts and tourists.
But what about the people who worked and stayed at the hotel? What did they really think of the rooms? Let's dive into their opinions.
The modern rooms are maybe modern in the 60s.
These are modern?
It kind of looks like my grandma's room.
Smells like it too.
I'm exhausted and I keep hearing these loud noises outside. These people are drunk and it's driving me crazy and I'm gonna go complain.
Now, are the owners even the least bit ashamed of the state of their rooms? It's time to see for yourself.
Are too busy drinking in the bar to notice the state of the hotel.
Oh, man. Owning a bar at 32 years old can be just a great party 7 days a week.
Give us some tongue, Ratty, some tongue!
What are you ladies out doing tonight?
What do you think for this?
Kevin and I, we love women, and it is a passion, and we have a lot of them coming through here.
Don't act like you've never done it.
And they're not just all young. We got the Cougar clans coming through here. We're not one to discriminate. We take customer service to the next level. Cheers, boys and girls! Put them up! You know, as a California American male, we were taught during college that it's good. Binge drinking is fun. Why is everybody empty? And I am the fun captain.
She tried to roofie me, you see that?
I am kind of the party guy. I want to make everyone have fun.
Right now, they're just kind of drunk idiots.
If you're after a drunken lap dance, you've come to the right place.
With things not looking so great, the big question on everyone's mind is, will Chef Ramsay be able to breathe new life into this struggling hotel? Now, here's what unfolded when Chef Ramsay finally arrived at Murphy's Hotel.
Wow, this really is historic.
Once checked in, Chef Ramsay was escorted to his room. His thoughts on it? Well, you'll want to hear this.
We put you in the presidential Ulysses S. Grant room. This is the actual bed that President Grant slept in, except for the mattress. We did get rid of that.
What's the glass box for?
This is our display room.
Display room?
Yes, so guests and customers can come up and take a look.
When were these last replaced?
I can't really tell you that.
It sounds like I'm in a museum. So am I a guest or an exhibit?
You're a guest.
Darling, Darling, what are those people doing?
Come on through, everybody. Take a look inside. You'll see it's our strong room.
Close the door, close the door.
Okay, we're gonna be on display today. It's usual for the tourists to come through sometimes, and if a guest checks in and they just for some reason forget to close their door, they're gonna have people crowded around looking at them.
They literally come over and they, hello, how are you?
Oh, well, that's embarrassing.
It's like a goldfish bowl in here. Ladies, thank God I wasn't in my underpants. Is that normal? They just come first impressions. I mean, it may be steeped in history, but it smells like the room's steeped in.
The hotel didn't leave much of a positive impression on Chef Ramsay, who wasn't exactly thrilled by what he saw. Still, he held on to hope that the food might be the hotel's saving grace. On his way to the dining room, Chef Ramsay bumped into Brian Goss, one of the hotel's owners. Their interaction went like this.
Murphy's Historic Hotel Employee of the Month. Oh, he looks a happy bunny.
Oh,
Hello.
how are you?
Party of one?
Party of one?
Okay.
Not a party for one.
Soon after, Goss called Clerico and La Citignola to join them. During their conversation, it became apparent that no one had a clear idea of who was actually managing the place. The exchange between them went something like this.
We're all equal shareholders in this business, but it was my plan to buy the hotel.
Hello.
Kevin.
Kevin, Gordon, good to see you, bud. And this is?
Hi, Gordon Joel.
Joel. So you're the lap dancer.
Awkward conversation, Chef Ramsay took a tour of the hotel and had plenty to say about the decor, or the lack thereof.
I can't believe this hotel is owned by 3 guys with a pink dining room.
Pink's the new black.
Well, it's like a girl's bedroom.
When it was finally time for Chef Ramsay to eat, he asked about the restaurant's special. And guess what? Brian Goss, the restaurant manager, completely froze. Can you believe that? Shouldn't the restaurant manager know what the specials are at his own place? It was a pretty awkward moment.
Any specials on today?
We had a fresh Alaskan halibut with
Eventually, after a bit of fumbling, Goss came back with the list of specials, and here's what Chef Ramsay decided to order.
Right, let's try the escargot. Entrees, lamb shank, and then what's the calamari door? What does door mean?
It's a doré, it's just a calamari steak.
Oh, I'll go for that as well.
Okay.
Thank you, I'll keep hold of the menu. Thank you very much.
After tasting the food, Chef Ramsay didn't hold back in his critique. Here's what he had to say about the dishes he sampled.
Thank you. Here we go, sir. Escargot in a red wine garlic sauce.
Red wine garlic.
Sorry, weren't very impressed.
No, I mean, far from impressed. Have you ever actually stood back and looked at that lamb shank as a dish and...
Later, during the night service, the hotel got really busy, but unfortunately, it didn't take long for several guests to start complaining about the food. You'd think the owners would take notice, right? Well, here's what really happened.
Word has got out that I'm in Murphy's and the hotel and restaurant are full of people. I feel sorry for all of them.
Even when guests arrived at the hotel to check in, the owners were too preoccupied with other things to pay attention to them.
So guests trying to check in are left to fend for themselves.
Did we ask you to check in for the room?
It was clear to Chef Ramsay that the owners were neglecting their guests, but the area that really piqued his interest was the kitchen. He knew he had to take a closer look in there.
I'm curious to see what it's like in the parts I haven't seen, like the walk-in fridge.
After Chef Ramsay grilled the owners about the issues at hand, Goss decided he needed a drink and headed to the bar. But that didn't stop things from spiraling. Chef Ramsay was kept up all night by the chaos, and we all know that keeping Chef Ramsay awake is never a good idea.
You guys all know I like to party, but I need to wind down, you know? I'm gonna go play poker in Reno later tonight.
The very next day, Chef Ramsay had enough and knew he needed to sit all 3 owners down for a serious talk. The meeting went down like this.
Man, that was a bad night's sleep. The noise above here was insane. I came back downstairs last night and Brian's ripping his shirt up, shouting, screaming about, hey, shots are all on me.
Finally, Chef Ramsay managed to knock some sense into them and asked who was ready to step up and take charge of the hotel. Goss was the one to step forward, taking on the responsibility.
I'm gonna take charge, I'm gonna run the business. I'm our leader. Out of us 3, it's gonna be me, guaranteed.
If you're gonna run the hotel,
You got it?
you run the hotel.
Now, you might be wondering what happened to Murphy's Hotel after the show aired. Well, it's still open and doing well today. Now, let's move on to the next hotel owner and buckle up, because this one's a wild ride.
If y'all got to work, I wouldn't be so mad all the time.
Our next stop takes us to Minnesota, where things went completely off the rails. We're talking about the Calumet Inn, another beautiful historic hotel that sadly fell into the wrong hands. And when I say wrong hands, I mean it. This time, the hotel was being run by two sisters, Rena and Wanda Smirkovsky, who, quite frankly, had no business being in the hospitality industry. The worst part? The inn was given to them as a gift by their father. Yes, you heard that right, given to them. It's no surprise they didn't seem to appreciate or understand the weight of the responsibility that comes with running a hotel. These two weren't just inexperienced, though.
People have heard that I'm in Pipestone, Minnesota's Calumet Inn.
Wondering if you have any openings.
They were lazy, disrespectful, and seemed to be on a power trip. Despite having zero background in the hotel business, they acted like they were seasoned pros. Meanwhile, the real hero of this story, Mandy Thompson, the general manager, was demoted from all her duties, yet she still put in the work to keep things afloat. Can you imagine the insult? Being the one person who actually knew what they were doing, only to be sidelined by two clueless owners. You'd think they would have been grateful to Thompson for keeping the place from falling apart, but nope. All the sisters did was nitpick her every move.
I can't even smile anymore.
It's not about you.
According to them, Thompson wasn't meeting their high standards. But honestly, what standards were they even using? Given their lack of effort, it's hard to believe they had any real expectations at all. Unsurprisingly, as soon as Rena and Wanda took over, the guests stopped coming. The once thriving hotel quickly lost its charm under their chaotic and arrogant management. The employees were left stranded, trying to do their jobs without any clear leadership or direction. It must have been absolute chaos behind the scenes. And here's where things get even more ridiculous. Instead of acknowledging their own failures, the sisters did what immature people always do. They blamed everyone else. They pointed fingers at their staff, calling them unprofessional, rude, and inconsistent.
What's going on?
They used to love my job, and now I hate it.
I can see what's not working for you.
The owners.
Really, if anyone was unprofessional here, it was clearly the owners. But here's the thing, you can't hide behind blame forever. Now, it was finally their turn to face the spotlight, and boy, did they deserve every bit of scrutiny coming their way. So later on, when Chef Ramsay finally arrived on the scene, the drama really started to unfold. Jennifer Buffington, the kitchen manager, didn't hold back and pointed out that the real problem at the Calumet Inn was none other than the owners themselves, Rena and Wanda. Of course, hearing this didn't sit well with Rena, who immediately got defensive and snappy.
I don't tolerate disrespect. You know, we're not getting paid. We're not paying ourselves.
You can't, as owners, complain about not being paid.
It was almost as if these sisters forgot they were the ones running the place. While Rena was getting all worked up, Wanda deflected by blaming Buffington for the poor quality of the food. It was clear these two were so wrapped up in themselves that everything had to revolve around them. You could see it in every action they took and every word they said.
I can't even smile anymore.
It's not about you.
The sisters' disrespectful attitude wasn't just directed at Chef Ramsay or Buffington, it was a daily struggle for their entire staff. Their employees had a hard time working under them, and if that wasn't bad enough, Rena and Wanda would sometimes go so far as to threaten not to pay their staff.
You own the place. They don't have ownership of this historic building.
Can you believe that? When the hotel got busy, Rena and Vanda's lack of enthusiasm and dedication became glaringly obvious. The only people working their tails off were the staff members, while the sisters barely lifted a finger. Yet, in their delusional minds, they still thought their staff was the problem, accusing them of slacking off. And to top it all off, Rena had this crybaby side. Whenever things got difficult, the tears would start flowing. Real professional, right? Chef Ramsay had seen enough of the chaos and called for a staff meeting. But things didn't exactly go smoothly. As soon as the discussion kicked off, Wanda made it clear that she and Rena were burnt out, and when one of the staff members mentioned that they were also feeling the same way, Rena went from zero to aggressive real quick. Just look at how she snapped at them.
I think we know what the problem is. We stepped in their territory and they cannot let go of their ego.
It was obvious that Rena and Wanda weren't ready to face the truth. That's when Christy, one of the chefs who had been quietly watching the whole mess unfold, decided to speak up with this.
If y'all got to work, I wouldn't be so mad all the time.
The tension in the room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. The owners were in total denial, throwing the blame on everyone but themselves. They even tried to scapegoat Mandy Thompson again, accusing her of having a bad attitude. But come on, at this point, it was crystal clear who had the bad attitude. When Rena accused Thompson of not being committed, Thompson wasn't having any of it. She completely flipped out on Rena.
We want to know to be here, that's the thing. Off, I'm done. I'm done. Off, committed. You stupid bitch, you just got here. I work 65 hours a week, sometimes 70, and I have 2 kids. I'm a single mom.
And honestly, who could blame her? It's a wonder she didn't walk out sooner. Thankfully, she was smart enough to step away before things escalated even further. The situation was teetering on the edge of a real blow-up. While Rena and Vanda still couldn't grasp just how terrible their behavior was, the staff was left in utter disbelief. But as for Chef Ramsay, he summed it up perfectly with these words.
It feels like I'm in a woman's prison.
The sisters weren't just selfish and out of touch, they were flat out clueless for getting rid of the one person who could actually help save their business. But here's where things took a turn for the better. Calumet Inn wasn't a lost cause just yet. Thanks to Chef Ramsay's intervention, Thompson agreed to come back, but with one important condition. Rena and Vanda had to step down from their positions of power. And honestly, can you blame her for making that demand? No one in their right mind could thrive working under such horrible leadership. So, if you thought Rena and Vanda were bad, just wait until you hear about the next hotel owners. These guys will make them look like amateurs when it comes to hostility.
Listen, what would you like me to do? What would I want to see you grow up and turn into a real man. I want to see you. Oh, like you're a. I want to see you be able to go and have a big professional. Oh my God.
While Rena and Vanda were at least on the same page, the brothers running the Applegate River Lodge were at each other's throats. The Applegate River Lodge was owned by Richard and Joanna Davis, but the family dynamics were completely messed up. Joanna was the only one who cared about the business, while the rest of the family couldn't be bothered. Richard? He was a full-time stoner, more interested in pot and the wild parties he threw at the lodge than running a business. And as for their sons, Duke and Dusty, they each ran the lodge like their own personal empire with no regard for working together as a family. These two brothers were selfish, only looking out for themselves.
You.
I'm at Oregon's Applegate Lodge, and I thought the answer for saving this place.
Richard cared about nothing except his weed and his parties, and Duke and Dusty only cared about lining their own pockets. What's worse, Joanna didn't even realize her sons were making tons of money and keeping it all to themselves. She was left feeling completely drained and defeated, thinking the lodge was on the brink of collapse. And if that wasn't bad enough, the relationship between Dusty and Duke was as toxic as it gets. Man, these two couldn't stand each other, and their hostility reached a boiling point while Chef Ramsay was staying at the hotel.
I have no problem telling him to get out of here.
I'd give you a kick with the arse if that was my son.
Chef Ramsay witnessed a full-blown argument between the brothers that almost turned physical. The fight was about who did more work at the lodge.
And I don't see you do thing. Because you can't take any criticism without wanting to punch my lights out.
Incredible.
Guys, how do you feel about this?
Shut the up, both of you.
It's him, he hates
Classic sibling rivalry, but with way more at stake. Dusty was adamant that Duke did nothing, while Duke shot back, accusing Dusty of being so incapable of handling criticism that he'd want to punch someone the minute he was called out. It was absolute chaos. Joanna tried to intervene and break up the fight, but her efforts were completely futile.
Listen,
what would you like me to do? What would I want to see you grow up and turn into a real man. I want to see you. Oh, like you're a. I want to see you be able to go and have a big professional. Oh my God.
You could just feel the tension. Oh, and speaking of futile efforts, if you don't want your support to go unnoticed, make sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. It's free and it helps us out, so why not go ahead and do it? Alright, back to the story. Shockingly, despite all the family drama, the Applegate River Lodge is one of the very few hotels featured on the show that actually succeeded afterward. Sadly though, things didn't stay rosy forever. According to the Applegate Valley Community News magazine, the lodge was put up for sale in 2021. As of 2022, it seems like the place is still waiting for a buyer. Man, it's a bit of a bummer considering how long they managed to stay open, but I guess all good things must come to an end eventually. Alright, let's dive into the story of Towns Inn, which was featured in the 3rd season, episode 4 of Hotel Hell. The hotel is located at the beautiful confluence of the Potomac and Shenandoah rivers. Seriously, it's in a stunning spot. Given its prime location, you'd expect the place to be rolling in money, right? Well, that wasn't exactly the case.
It's like a Hoarders Anonymous. Junk on top of junk. Not only is she unaware of the damage she has done, the wall's rotten and you just go and paint over it.
It's really solid.
You can't just band-aid this place.
While Jason, the owner, was concerned about his mother, Karen, spending nights at the hotel, there were much bigger problems lurking beneath the surface. It wasn't just about where she was sleeping. This place had deeper issues. Clearly, the town's inn was in dire need of some TLC. Now, let's see what Chef Ramsay thought about the place. Spoiler alert, it wasn't great.
Wow, look at this place. Gorgeous. Fresh food. Wow. Nice to see you.
Karen Townsend.
Karen, good to see you.
I'm glad
What
you're
a
here.
gorgeous little town.
When it was finally time for Chef Ramsay to check out his room, well, let's just say the state of it was less than ideal.
Rose there.
Oh, these are my famous baskets.
Baskets?
Yeah, I love baskets and I collect them.
Beautiful baskets for sale. Prices vary from $1 to $30. Stop it. $30. Man.
Some of them are very unique.
You're telling me that families come in here and they go for a hike and they buy these baskets on the way to the mountains. Stop. This one's full of bugs.
I guess I wouldn't buy that one, would you?
$12. And that's with the cockroaches.
We don't charge extra.
Wow, that was $12.99. It's reduced down to $5. Oh, bugs in there as well. Bloody hell. Do you get them as gifts and then resell them?
No, I just buy them when I find them places I
What
collect
in the
them.
hell is that?
It's an Easter basket.
Ah, that's an Easter basket. Oh, poor bunny. And how much is that? $1.
Yep.
Wow, can you go any lower?
Nope.
Huh?
We don't deal in cents.
Aye. Karen, you're starting to scare me. Seriously, you are a basket case.
That's a good point.
Honestly, there's dust everywhere up here as well. When was the last time this place was dusted?
Theoretically, every day.
Every day?
Yeah.
This is my room named
This
after
is
the
Potomac
river. Wow. Bloody hell. Oh dear. And this is it. Wow. Wow.
We have 5 rooms. This one is 130.
Oh. What happened there?
You're taller than I am. See how it just lays up there on top of the. No, see, there you go.
The pole's too short, my darling. Look. So,
There you go.
Look, that's there.
And this has been here since 2007, and it's never
Right.
fallen down.
Oh, really? Flip it now. Okay. Oh.
Okay.
Let's leave them there for now. Let's get some light in here.
Get this, when he went to hang up his clothes in the closet, he found it locked. Why? Because the owner used it to store her own clothes. Yep, you heard that right. Have you ever heard of such a thing before? Chef Ramsay was just as baffled. If you haven't seen his reaction yet, you've got to check it out.
Okay, I'm gonna unpack and...
That's private.
What do you mean it's private? This is my bedroom.
Well, but this is off limits. It's got a lock on it. It's like a storage closet.
After a bit of back and forth with Anna, Jason's wife, they eventually agreed to clear out half of her closet for Chef Ramsay to use. And Charlotte, one of the employees, had something to say about it, which honestly spoke volumes.
Oh my.
Oh my. Do you see Karen wearing this stuff?
No, Karen wears about 2 outfits.
What do you mean she wears 2 outfits?
Once Chef Ramsay had enough of the clutter and chaos, he demanded that Charlotte bring Anna to the room. He was gearing up for a full-on confrontation, and you could feel the tension in the air.
Yes.
Look at all this stuff. Shoes, handbags, scarves. Just smell them.
It smells like my shoes.
Next, it was time for Chef Ramsay to check out the dining room and, more importantly, the menu. Let's just say it was worse than anyone could have imagined.
Is that a fridge outside?
That's our kitchen products.
Outside?
Outside. This,
This fridge here?
that is for the owner's stuff.
In the middle of inspecting the kitchen, Chef Ramsay stumbled upon a cigarette bowl right next to the refrigerators. And Anna's reaction? Well, you'll have to see it for yourself.
And that?
Do you smoke? I don't.
I've never
It's
smoked in my
disgusting.
life.
I tried when I was 17.
Sausage, brats.
Finally, it was time to order some food, and that's when the real nightmare began.
Let's start off with mac and cheese.
Okay.
What else? the fiesta stew.
Okay.
Let's have a trout as well.
A trout. Okay.
Thanks.
I'll get that going. Right back.
First up was the mac and cheese. Chef Ramsay took a bite, and his thoughts on the dish were not exactly glowing.
That is the weirdest and the most plastic-looking mac and cheese I've ever seen in my entire life. There's no seasoning in there. There's no salt. Please.
Absolutely.
That deserves to be put under the bed.
Strike one, but it didn't end there. Let's see how the rest of the dishes fared. Spoiler, they didn't do much better.
Stew.
Fiesta stew. So we have a Mexican-themed stew.
Correct.
And when was the fiesta stew made?
I can go ask.
Please.
All right. Trout. And Jeff said he caught it yesterday.
So he caught it from the frozen food section?
Correct.
Strike two, strike three. You get the picture. So, when Chef Ramsay decided to take a stroll to shake off the bad taste from the meal he just had, he returned to the inn only to find, wait for it, even more bags filled with Anna's clothes just lying around. You can't make this stuff up.
Miss Karen.
Yes.
Is this all yours?
That's what came out of the wardrobe.
Another wardrobe?
No, the one that you emptied.
Confused and a bit frustrated, Chef Ramsay called for a meeting with the staff to get to the bottom of what was really going on at the town's inn. Let's just say the revelations were interesting, to say the least.
I'm in shock. Are you joining us, Miss Sarah,
Yes,
or are you
sir.
still writing labels?
No, I'm not writing labels
No,
anymore.
let's go. I arrive, the facade of the outside looks beautiful. I walk through the door and...
Later, during the dinner service, Chef Ramsay walked into the kitchen and was greeted by a painting. No, really, a painted wall right in the middle of the kitchen.
Sarah likes to paint on the walls sometimes.
Hello.
Hi.
What's this mess here?
This is a painting, and I
A
did...
what? A painting?
Yes,
Looks like
sir.
someone...
And that wasn't the only one. There was another painting in the dining room. You've got to see Chef Ramsay's reaction. It's priceless.
Did you see the mural in the dining room?
That is a children assist in guests.
That's unique, isn't it?
What is that?
Well, it started as a crack in the wall.
Oh, and if you thought that was weird, wait for it. There was another painting in his room. The man couldn't escape them.
What have you done to my wall? This is so weird. You paint over cracks.
I
Look
know.
at this here.
I know, and this apparently is something new that is falling apart.
When Chef Ramsay brought this up with Karan, the owner, her reaction was, well, let's just say it left Chef Ramsay in shock.
The wall needs repairing, and she's just painting over it. And then secondly, she found a big hole here, started putting her cards on there, and then painted over that.
But if you think the paintings were bad, you won't believe what Chef Ramsay found in the kitchen. It was so awful that he even brought one of the guests into the kitchen to show them how their burger was being prepared. The guest's reaction? You need to see it to believe it.
That's a burger that I'm heating up.
A boil?
Yeah.
You're boiling a burger?
I'm just heating it back up.
The special of the day? A frozen rotisserie chicken that had been sitting in the fridge for 6 months. 6 months. Chef Ramsay wasn't having it, and this is what he did next.
Explain the rotisserie chicken, please.
Show the table.
Yeah.
This is the dish of the day. It's our rotisserie chicken. It was roasted 6 months ago in a grocery store, and we're serving it for $12.
On the menu, it's got rotisserie chicken.
Yeah.
You buy them at a grocery store.
Yes.
And you freeze them. And you reheat them in the microwave.
Not in the microwave.
It went in the microwave. What is going on here?
Well, we have a menu, and we just do it. I mean,
No, it's just pathetic. How many of your guests tonight think that their chicken's been roasted in-house?
maybe half.
Let's come in and let's double check. Ladies and gentlemen, so sorry, can I just have your attention for 30 seconds? How many of you, if you're going to order the roast chicken this evening, would expect it to be fresh, roasted in-house? Could you raise your hands, please? I think it's everybody.
A lot of people say it's good. I agree that it
No,
should be.
these
yeah.
guests have come out of their homes to come and
Yeah.
eat. What I'm not going to do is attempt to pull the wool over their eyes, because they deserve to know what's going on. The burgers were cooked yesterday, reheated in a pan, boiling them in water, and I'm flabbergasted. So you need to take a real good look at yourself and stop customers immediately. Otherwise, I'm out of here. I'm so sorry, but you, as customers, deserve better. And this has nothing to do with the TV program. I promise you now, it's based on the bad practices that's going on in that kitchen. So my apologies, but I'm not going to allow you to eat. You're not going to act responsible for it. I will. We're shutting it down.
Now, you're probably wondering what happened to Towns Inn after all of this aired on Hotel Hell. Well, after Chef Ramsay's intervention, Karen continued to lease the property and the staff worked hard to make positive changes. Jason, who had been somewhat out of the picture, became more involved in the business. But some of the issues Chef Ramsay pointed out still lingered. According to more recent Yelp reviews, the hotel still struggles with clutter and outdated products in the store, problems Chef Ramsay had also noted during his visit. If you visit their website, you'll notice a stark contrast between the rooms renovated during the show and those that seem to have been updated by the owners themselves. Some rooms have apparently been left exactly as they were. And guess what? Now Karen has actually moved back into the hotel and now lives in a room on the second floor. Alright, let's dive into the next hotel. Angler's Lodge in Island Park, Idaho was featured in the very first episode of Hotel Hell's third season. This picturesque lodge had everything going for it until the family faced a heartbreaking tragedy.
When I first came into the area, I saw this piece of land. It was right next to one of the world's best fly fisheries, the Henry's Fork of the Snake River. And we jumped right on that piece of property and started building the lodge.
As a result, business plummeted by 25%, leaving the family struggling to keep things afloat. When Chef Ramsay arrived, his initial impression was less than stellar.
Look at that. Gorgeous. Wow, hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. I'm Savannah.
Savannah Gordon, nice to see you.
Me too.
Wow.
Later, when it was time for Chef Ramsay to check into his room, the condition of it was shocking. Chef Ramsay then met the head chef, Gina, who spilled some interesting details.
What do you think's wrong with the business?
Staffing issues, servers, they're just constantly late and, I wouldn't have a manager.
But Zach's the manager.
When it came to the tasting, Chef Ramsay started with the wings and homemade barbecue sauce. His reaction? Let's just say it wasn't exactly glowing.
Wings are for you, sir, with the homemade huckleberry barbecue sauce.
Wow, thank you. Are the wings fresh?
I believe they come frozen.
Next up was the ribeye, and Chef Ramsay's opinion of it was blunt and to the point.
Duvet on my mattress, blood stained and...
Then came the trout, an absolute disaster.
I don't know who to blame. That rice is mush. Who cooked that?
It's like oatmeal.
What the...
When Chef Ramsay inquired whether the owners were aware of how bad the food was, their response was disheartening.
They hate the dish or...
Everything. They don't like the way that she does anything.
Then why is she here?
Despite Gina's efforts, she explained that she was stuck using the ingredients and recipes provided by Dave Eby, the owner. And to make matters worse, there was no communication between her and sous chef Art in the kitchen. Chef Ramsay couldn't believe they were still in business, noting that no one had a long-term plan in place. He also had a blunt conversation with Zach, the owner's son, and the general manager, telling him that his lack of interest in the business meant he didn't belong there. That night, Chef Ramsay returned to observe the dinner service, and this is what went down.
Why?
It's okay to chew gum in front of customers, or Dave just lets it go on?
Probably not okay.
Chef Ramsay was shocked to discover that Zach, the restaurant's general manager, spent most of his time working behind the bar. As the night wore on, Chef Ramsay took note of how chaotic the service was.
What's going with the ribeye?
Curry that I'm taking like a second, chef.
But don't you talk to each other? So the food can hit the window at the same time.
After dinner, he met with the owners to address the issues head-on.
Underwhelmed and disappointed. You built this place to the absolute spec, beyond belief. But I was disappointed in my room. The bed's terrible. Zach, I pulled back the top duvet and there was blood underneath the duvet. The air conditioning filters.
In a private conversation with Dee Dee, Chef Ramsay tried to get to the root of the problem.
Okay.
Let's go,
Thank you.
The next day, Chef Ramsay gave the owners and staff feedback based on what the community had to say. And believe me, the locals didn't hold back.
My daughter had a wedding reception held at the lodge. We'd go back and celebrate, but over the years, things have gone downhill.
Ramsay then had a heart-to-heart with Dave Eby.
Why does Zach get so defensive like that?
I think insecurity, maybe.
Guys, can you just give me 5 minutes?
And he even went a step further by showing the couple some sentimental memories from when they first built the lodge, reminding them why they started this venture in the first place.
So well, didn't we?
Yes.
So I put something together that I think will help reinstate that love.
Yeah.
Bring that back to the forefront. Let's have a look.
So, what happened after Chef Ramsay's visit? After filming wrapped up in late 2015, the family embraced the changes made to the menu and found renewed excitement for their future. Their passion for the lodge was reignited, and they even added rentable cabins to the property. While TripAdvisor reviews have been a mixed bag, Yelp reviews have generally been more positive. It seems like Chef Ramsay's visit breathed new life into Angler's Lodge, giving the family the push they needed. Next up, we've got a guy who loved living like a millionaire.
The guests that we don't want here are people who don't have a lot of money.
But honestly, the only thing that was truly rich about him was his imagination. Don't believe me? Just take a look at this clip.
But we never get tips.
They're having a hard time paying me because they give away all of their money and food to their friends, showing off, using this as their private castle.
It's impressive, right? Living in luxury while exploiting those below you. He had it all. A private yacht, flashy sports cars, and of course, all of it was funded by the hard work and sacrifices of his overworked and underpaid employees. Just look at him living his best life.
Robert believes this place is his playground. Yeah.
But beneath the luxury exterior, there was a strange financial paradox. Despite charging sky-high rates for a 2-night minimum stay, Robert's financial troubles had made themselves right at home.
This room goes for $350 a night.
$350 a night for a room that smells of shit.
Turns out, his buddies got to stay at his fancy spot for free. Free meals, free rooms, free everything. Sure, we all want friends like that, but here's the kicker.
Robert Dean has no hotel or no restaurant experience.
Yeah, Robert didn't even know how to run his own place. When Chef Ramsay checked into his room, it was like stepping into a haunted house with a sewage stench. No one had stayed there in 4 months. Not exactly the warmest of welcomes. And if that wasn't enough, when Chef Ramsay tried to grab some lunch, he discovered the restaurant only served breakfast and dinner. Lunch? Forget about it. They had nothing to offer. Pretty odd for a so-called luxury hotel, huh? But the scene that really takes the cake? This right here,
Like pulling teeth to get my paycheck.
You don't get paid?
It takes forever to get my paycheck, and when I do, it's usually something's left out.
When it came time for the paycheck, guess how much Robert thought was fair compensation for a woman who had dedicated her life to his business?
I made $6,000 this year.
$6,000 a year?
Her last paycheck was a grand total of $48. That's right, 48, not 4,800. Not even 480, just 48 bucks. This 70-year-old woman had been tirelessly working for him for years, and that's how he repaid her loyalty. You'd think a guy who loved the spotlight as much as Robert would at least show some appreciation for the people keeping the lights on. But nope, he was all about the glitz and glam, forgetting entirely about the hardworking folks making it all possible. This viewer was totally right when he said this. When employees are exploited and denied a living wage, well, it's pretty much in the name, they aren't able to actually live. Day in and day out, these workers poured their blood, sweat, and tears into Robert's hotel. And how were they rewarded? By being trapped in a relentless cycle of exploitation, forced to endure harsh conditions while funding Robert's lavish lifestyle. It's heartbreaking to hear an employee say something like this.
He comps all their meals and rooms, but we never get tips.
And while Robert's rich friends are enjoying the high life, the people actually running the place are left helpless and struggling to survive, dealing with constant stress and worrying about whether they'll even be able to make rent or put food on the table. The toll on their physical and mental health must be enormous. You can really feel that frustration in this next clip.
They're having a hard time paying me because they give away all of their money and food to their friends, showing off, using this as their private castle.
Look at all that fancy food being served. Probably tastes terrible, but still. These rich pals are dining in luxury while the staff, who can barely make ends meet, are serving them. It's just wrong. Here's the thing. Pay your employees a full living wage. If you take care of the people running your business, it'll run better. You'll likely make more money in the long run because your staff won't constantly be grinding everything to a halt while you're off splurging on your next mega yacht. And if you don't think that's reason enough, well, brace yourself for the consequences.
I think that the place is going to be closed, and that's very sad.
Okay, rant over. Let's get back to the episode. Juniper Inn, Robert's little paradise for his rich pals, wasn't exactly attracting a ton of locals, and here's why.
We haven't identified the appropriate people to come here, or
Hold on a minute. What do you mean appropriate people? Hold on.
people who can afford $59 for 3 courses.
Appropriate people? What a snob.
Calling Robert a snob is honestly putting it lightly. The guy's pretending to be some kind of big shot, and it's beyond irritating. I mean, Robert must have a pretty intense workout routine. Imagine carrying around that massive ego while simultaneously being a master of mental gymnastics. Quite the feat for such a small, pasty man. Now, let's circle back to the food we talked about earlier. If I had to sum it up in just 2 words, overpriced mediocrity. I mean, seriously, what else would you call this mess? Take a look.
It's not even cooked properly. Rest it and take that off.
But you know what's even crazier? The only chef who knew how to actually cook had abruptly left. Wondering why? Go on, take a wild guess.
Why did the chef leave?
Well, her paycheck.
Yup, not exactly a surprise, is it? It turns out that the chef who quit wasn't just a cook. She was like Barbara. She poured her everything into that place. And when I say everything, I mean everything.
The chef bought produce on her credit card.
She did everything. She was the best.
But of course, Robert was too full of himself to admit it. As for the food, Chef Ramsay's only compliment went to the desserts. That is, until he found out they were outsourced. Can you believe that? I mean, come on. But honestly, we can't even blame the new head chef after learning what his salary was.
Before taxes, $400.
Jesus Christ almighty. $400 a week to be the head chef in a luxury hotel?
$400. Seriously, dude, did you forget to add another 0? It's a classic case of wealth buying everything except a conscience. Chef Ramsay's face says it all.
I don't know that I'm even barely surviving.
If you're not happy with your work environment,
This guy should get a gold medal for those mental gymnastics. I mean, it's like saying, oh, my bathroom pipes are clogged, but instead of fixing it, I'll just move out. What a joke. And here's the kicker. Chef Ramsay discovered something that made the whole situation even worse.
we have a motor coach to the side.
Christ, and where'd it come from? Is it yours? You rent it?
Yeah, it's ours. We owe on it, but we bought it.
Yup, the couple lived in a $100,000 motor coach parked right outside the hotel. Oh, excuse me, my bad. It's not just an RV, it's a motor coach. Robert made sure we knew the difference. I guess I'm too broke to understand those rich people terms. Sadly, this high-end lifestyle only crushed the morale of the staff. And when the employees dared to speak up about their issues, Ari Nikki, Robert's boyfriend, felt threatened. But Chef Ramsay wasn't having any of that. He totally shut Ari down in front of the entire staff. And to top it off, the internet absolutely roasted him for it, and rightly so. Talk about being low and degrading. Oh, and guess what? Ari was arrested and charged with an alleged assault on an officer in Hillsborough County back in 2015. At this point, I'm not even surprised anymore. But remember the former head chef who had the sense to leave? Ida, that same chef, opened up to Chef Ramsay about her struggles with Robert's neglect. She revealed how he wouldn't even bother to answer her calls, leaving her in a tough spot.
I used to earn $40,000, $50,000 in one restaurant, and now I'm down to earning $15,000.
Ida also shared her ordeal of being paid a meager $15,000 salary, which was consistently late, forcing her to use her credit card to buy food for the restaurant. It was a real struggle, and she was essentially funding the restaurant out of her own pocket. Back at the hotel, Chef Ramsay went exploring and stumbled upon an overflowing basement packed with hoarded antiques. It was as if they were sitting on a literal gold mine while the employees were barely scraping by. It's shocking that they were surrounded by valuable items, but still couldn't pay their staff properly. Ari, one of the key players in this mess, confided in Chef Ramsay about his investment in the place and Robert's obsession with collecting antiques, which clearly highlighted their misplaced priorities. Ari had invested his life savings, worth millions, into the hotel. But guess how much of that has come back to him?
More or less over $1 million.
$1 million. And how much have you seen back?
Nothing.
Chef Ramsay gave Ari a brutal reality check with this remark.
Your biggest problem is not Juniper Hill. Your biggest problem is fucking Robert.
It was harsh, but completely deserved. Moving on to the dinner service, it was an utter disaster. The chaos in the kitchen was almost comical.
Robert, yes, this ticket system is bollocks, you know that? Handwritten tickets, no time on there, no proper dates, no coordination.
Robert's cluelessness and his poor management skills were evident. It's a wonder how he managed to have such a competent staff, who definitely didn't deserve the mess they were in. I genuinely felt sorry for them.
I can only be as good as I am with the tools that I have. I'm embarrassed, and I know that I can do better. I know the staff can do better.
How can you expect employees to do their best when they don't even have the basic tools for their job? It's like asking someone to write a novel without a pen or paper. The staff lacked the necessary equipment and resources to work efficiently, and Robert's supposed solution to the problem was as outrageous as it was clueless.
So they're fucked.
They don't have to work here.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
you know, the bottom line is...
Oh, how dare you?
No, they don't have to work here.
How dare you?
It's truly appalling how ungrateful and detached he was from the reality of the situation. Watching him get a reality check was incredibly satisfying. And remember those antiques that Robert thought were worth millions? Chef Ramsay decided to bring in an auctioneer, Amy, to evaluate their worth. Let's see what she thought about their value.
About 25,000.
Say that again?
25,000?
That revelation was a real anticlimactic moment, an eye-opening reality check. I'll stop with the puns, but it was definitely a memorable moment. So, which of these hotels horrified you the most?
Let us know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, give us a like and share. Hit the subscribe button to never miss out on our future videos. And if you thought this video was crazy, then make sure to check out the next one right here. It's even better.